that started using like inside rhyme schemes.
Right.
And coming back at the end and hitting the, you know what I'm saying? He did something that hadn't even been thought of yet.
Original.
Yeah, it was like, and he single-handedly pushed the genre forward to be more
Rakim ain't just some rapper. He's a straight-up icon, a god-tier MC. So when he shows love, that means everything. And guess who earned that rare respect? DMX, the one dude who had more real love in the streets than half the game combined. When Rakim co-signed X, it wasn't just admiration. It stamped X's legacy with heavyweight approval. Fans lost it when the two finally linked up and cooked something together. That moment right there, hip-hop history in the making. Let's break it down. DMX wasn't just high energy, he was a walking explosion. That man carried raw, untamed power everywhere he went. Whether it was the stage, the booth, a radio interview, or just talking one-on-one, you felt that heat. It was rage, it was passion, it was pain, all mixed up and thrown straight in your face. But every now and then, that fire switched up. It turned into something real, something joyful. And one of those rare, hype-filled moments came straight from Rakim. Wild thing is, X and Rakim didn't even meet face-to-face until the 2010s, decades deep in both their legacies. You'd think two New York rap giants like that would have linked up way earlier. But nope. It wasn't until around 2013, backstage somewhere, that they finally crossed paths. And when it happened, straight hip-hop magic. DMX lit up like a kid seeing his childhood hero in real life. Later, when someone asked X what Rakim meant to him, he didn't play it cool. He let it all out. Growing up, there was always a debate. Who's the best, Big Daddy Kane or Rakim? X didn't hesitate. I always picked Rakim, always. He was serious with it, never watered down, spit bars without even needing to curse. That's the wild part. X was hyped like, yo, this man was spitting that street heat without even cussing. And just like that, in classic DMX style, he flipped the switch, full performance mode. He started going off, bar for bar, spitting verses from Microphone Fiend and Follow the Leader. Two of Rakim's coldest joints. Rakim, who usually keeps it cool and laid back, looked genuinely caught off guard. But instead of stepping back, he embraced it, showed X major love, like a big bro proud of his little brother. He even said DMX brought New York back in the late 90s. That hit different, especially coming from a legend like Rakim. But he didn't stop there. He gave X real flowers, praising that raw emotion, that electric energy DMX carried like a storm. Rakim said straight up, DMX could express pain and truth in ways even I never could. And coming from him, one of the most complex lyricists to ever touch a mic, that wasn't just respect. That was a straight-up crown. And then the moment that sealed it all, DMX brought Rakim on stage that same night. Picture that crowd losing their minds. Two titans of New York hip-hop side by side, different eras, same raw respect. It wasn't just a show, it was history on stage. They even linked up on a track called Don't Call Me. Solid proof that X wasn't just loud, he was legend level. What made DMX untouchable wasn't just the voice, the growl, or that bark. It was the fact he never faked it. No off switch. Ever. The same fire DMX brought to the mic, he carried it everywhere. 1 minute he was wilding out. The next, he's on his knees, praying with strangers. He never hid the tears, the struggles, the faith, the demons. All that pain lived on the surface. That realness, it stuck with people forever. Nas once told a story from the set of Belly. Said X broke down crying, and it hit him so hard, he cried too. That kind of energy, unfiltered, unshaken, real. That's why DMX was more than just a rapper. So when Rakim gave him his flowers while he was still here, that wasn't casual, that was sacred. Rakim's impact, untouchable. Before he pulled up, rap was mostly simple bounce beats, catchy lines, and easy rhymes. Nothing wrong with it. But then he came in and flipped the whole script. Rakim introduced multi-syllable rhymes, slick wordplay, layered metaphors, and dropped bars that made you think. He wasn't just rhyming to ride the beat, he was building verses like puzzles. Every line had purpose, every word hit with meaning. It wasn't just rap anymore. It was poetry in motion, dressed in a hoodie and Timbs. Even M.O.P.'s own legend, Lil Fame, once said, before Rakim, the word flow didn't even exist. Rappers were talking rhythm or cadence. But Rakim, he straight up birthed the blueprint for what we now call flow. His impact ran deep. With his DJ and right-hand man Eric B, they formed a duo that couldn't be touched. 4 classic albums, all heat. And in '92, they parted ways. But the legacy? Locked in. Their debut, Paid in Full, that wasn't just a hit. It's still ranked as one of the greatest hip-hop albums ever. Golden Age status, no question. Paid in Full changed the whole game. No debate. Fans, critics, legends, everyone agrees. It set a brand new bar. In the men behind Def Jam, Alex Ogg called it their magnum opus. And Rakim's flow on that album, ice cold, razor smart, and ahead of its time, that style didn't just impress, it built the blueprint. His rhyme schemes were surgical, cool delivery, deep lyrics, and a confidence that made East Coast rap feel like the throne of lyricism. Journalist William Jelani Cobb said Rakim's style broke away from the old school. He wasn't just another rapper, he reinvented the format. Even as rap kept changing, Cobb said barely anyone ever touched the lyrical level Rakim unlocked. The New York Times called it a quiet, musical revolution. That soft-spoken tone, it hit harder than any shout and rewrote what a real MC could sound like. Rakim didn't need to scream or dance around for clout. He just spoke and the whole room locked in. All Music Steve Huey called Paid in Full one of the most influential hip-hop albums ever. He even said it's essential listening if you want to understand the roots of rap. MTV, they took it even further. Ranked it #1 on their list of greatest hip-hop albums of all time. Called it captivating, profound, innovative, and said it raised the bar both lyrically and sonically. And Rakim himself, he landed at #4 on MTV's list of the greatest MCs ever. That's huge, especially with all the lyrical giants out there. But here's where it gets even deeper. One of the most fascinating parts of Rakim's story is what comes next. And it says everything about what kind of artist he really is. Here's the wild part. Rakim might be the only rapper who straight up walked away from working with Dr. Dre, and that's no small move. Dre's a giant in the game, the architect behind legends like Snoop Dogg, Eminem, 50 Cent, The Game, Kendrick Lamar. The man's built a whole hip-hop hall of fame from the ground up. Getting a Dre cosign, that's like striking gold in this industry. Most rappers would sell their soul for it, but Rakim, nah, he played it different. Back in 2000, he actually signed to Dre's label, Aftermath Entertainment. The plan? A massive comeback album titled Oh My God. Fans were hyped. 2 titans about to collide. But what happened next? Nobody expected that twist. Fans were hyped, and they had every reason to be. The thought of Rakim and Dr. Dre teaming up, that sounded like a power move big enough to shake the whole industry. Rakim's razor-sharp lyricism mixed with Dre's iconic beats, that could have been straight magic. But the album never dropped, not a single official release. Instead, the project kept twisting. Different directions, new sounds, team shakeups, delay after delay. It all started to fall apart, piece by piece. The longer it dragged, the colder the momentum got. Still, Rakim popped up a few times under the Aftermath name. One standout? He laid down a crazy verse on Truth Hurts track, but fans were already asking, what happened to the real album? Rakim wasn't totally MIA, he was still making noise. He jumped on the hit single Addictive, dropped a guest verse on Dre's The Watcher Part 2 from Jay-Z's album, and even popped up on the 8 Mile soundtrack with the track R.A.K.I.M. So nah, he wasn't Ghost, but something behind the scenes, it just wasn't clicking like it should have. By 2003, Rakim had enough. He made the call to leave Aftermath for good. And just like that, oh my God, the comeback album fans were begging for got shelved indefinitely. So what went down? Why walk away from one of the greatest producers ever? When Rakim finally spoke on it, it made sense. Straight up creative differences. Rakim later broke it down. While they were building the album, he wanted to take it in a conscious, meaningful direction. Real bars, deep message, soul-level lyrics. That's always been his style. He never needed to fake a tough image or chase shock value to stand out. But Dre, he was pushing for something different. That raw gangster rap energy, the same formula that built his empire and shaped the whole West Coast sound. It wasn't beef, just a creative clash. Two legends, two visions, and no middle ground to meet on. And Rakim, being the solid man he is, didn't fold. He could have taken those Dre beats, dropped a glossy, chart-topping album, and cashed in heavy, but nah, he stuck to his principles. If the message wasn't real, he wasn't touching it. He walked away, even if it meant losing a massive comeback moment. That move, it stamped what Rakim's always stood for, integrity over industry hype every time. Now flip the script to DMX. He didn't just have a hot streak, he shook the whole rap world. When he dropped It's Dark and Hell is Hot in '98, the entire vibe of hip-hop changed overnight. And he didn't stop there. He followed it with 4 more albums, all debuting at #1. Nobody had ever done what DMX did. 5 back-to-back #1 albums, unheard of. By the time he passed in 2021, X had moved over 74 million records worldwide. That's a whole generation raised on his voice, his pain, and his power. But you can't talk about DMX without mentioning the chaos. The story's endless. Ask anyone who ran with him. They'll all tell you the same thing. Rolling with X meant madness. You were gonna end up in some wild situation, and honestly, you were lucky if you made it out in one piece. Just ask Swizz Beatz. One of his wildest memories? Hopping in random NYC cabs with X and just dipping without paying. To DMX, hopping in a cab was like catching a ride from the universe. He really believed he didn't owe a dime. That was just how his mind worked. Rules didn't apply to him. Swizz once told a wild story. They were in a cab together, pulled up to the stop, and Swizz tried to pay the fare. DMX snapped. Like, why would you even think of doing that? But then things flipped fast. Swizz peeped the driver had a gun. That's when DMX cooled off real quick. He paid the fare, no questions asked. Cause if they tried their usual move, that night could have ended very different. And then came the other side of DMX. The wild, no hesitation street energy.
You all know what was going on with hip hop at that time, man. When he came through, this shit was so raw. Yeah. I was like, thank you, man. Finally. It was like New York stand. Is I love MCs that say that I can't say, you know what I mean? And D, you know what I mean?
He would present a track, 9 times out of 10, he'd be like, I want you to, talk crap on this one. But my way, I guess, of talking crap is...
He moved like it was survival mode 24/7. Word is, he used to hit licks like it was just part of his daily routine, sometimes with his dogs right there beside him, locked in and ready. Fat Joe once shared a crazy memory. Him, X, and Big Pun had just rocked a show. They pulled up to a gas station, and out of nowhere, this dude walks in with a shiny chain. No hesitation, DMX took it right there on the spot. That was the energy. No filter, no warning, just raw instinct. But all that wild energy, it came with a price. DMX ended up locked up a lot over the years. His first run-in with the law, way before the fame, at just 15 years old. What got him there? Stealing a junkyard's guard dog. That stunt landed him in a juvenile center out in Valhalla, New York. It was quick, but that was just the warm-up. By 1986, he was back in trouble, this time with a 2-year sentence at the Industry Institution, a youth detention spot way upstate, quiet and tucked away. But DMX, he was never the do your time and chill type. Just days into his sentence, he linked up with a cellmate named Bobby, and the two started planning their escape like it was a movie plot. Bobby and DMX, total opposites. X came straight from the hard corners of Yonkers. Bobby was some rich kid from upstate, soft and spoiled, but somehow they clicked. Maybe it was being caged up together or just young, reckless energy, but they started scheming. Their plan? Slide out through the rec room window and disappear into the woods. The place didn't even have fences, just trees and distance. And because it was way out in the middle of nowhere, the guards never thought anyone would even try to dip. That's exactly why DMX saw the opening. And they did it, for real. They actually broke out. DMX made it all the way back to Yonkers, thinking he was home free, like he just beat the system. But when his mom found out he broke out, she wasn't having none of that. She made him turn himself in and go back to finish the sentence. So DMX returned, this time to McCormick Juvenile Detention Center out in Brookdale, New York. And if you think he laid low after that, not even close. While locked up, X got into it again. This time, caught trying to extort another inmate for drugs. That move got him shipped to a higher security facility, no games played. He finally got released around mid-1988. But by then, DMX's name was already starting to echo, not just in the streets, but deep in the freestyle scene. His bars were hitting hard, but that street life, it still had a tight grip, even while the rap game started calling. DMX just couldn't shake the legal heat. His run-ins kept stacking up, but 2004, that year brought one of his wildest stories yet. After getting arrested at JFK Airport, it felt like a movie script gone wrong. X and a homie were out here pretending to be FBI agents, fake badges, sirens blaring, the whole setup. Word is, DMX even tried to dodge traffic by crashing his SUV through a security gate. Then, inside the lot, he pulled over a random car, flashed that fake badge, and started yelling he was federal law enforcement. That stunt? Yeah, it got way more than just attention. It made headlines everywhere. Things got real serious fast. When the cops showed up, it wasn't just a rapper playing FBI inside his ride. They found crack cocaine, a billy club, a gun, and a stash of other illegal stuff. DMX got hit with a laundry list of charges: criminal impersonation, drug possession, weapons offenses, menacing, DUI, the whole package. But somehow, by December 2004, X dodged prison time. He took a conditional discharge deal and walked out without doing time. As long as DMX stayed clean and followed the rules, he could keep out of trouble. But anyone who knows X knows that wasn't ever his strong suit. His run-ins with the law kept coming, no matter the years. His last big stint behind bars came in 2018, a year in federal prison for tax fraud. Prosecutors said he dodged about $7 million by living in cash, avoiding bank accounts, and even not putting his own hit records in his name. He did about 10 months and got out in early 2019. That was the last time DMX ever stepped inside a jail cell. It looked like DMX was on the path to change. He laid low for a minute, stayed clean, kept his faith tight, and zeroed in on what counted: family, health, and music. He even hit the stage again, dropping live shows and hitting interviews with that raw, no-filter honesty fans always loved. Fans had always loved DMX for his realness. And just when it looked like the dog was finally catching a break, tragedy hit hard. On April 2nd, 2021, DMX was rushed to the hospital after a heart attack, reportedly sparked by a drug overdose. He was put on life support, and for days, the whole hip-hop world held its breath, praying for a miracle. But on April 9th, 2021, DMX was pronounced dead at just 50 years old. If you respect the legacy of DMX, don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, and drop your thoughts in the comments below.